Alright guys, it's January 4th evening, just got back from work, and I couldn't wait to get this video out, so I'm starting it now even though I'm pretty tired after the long weekend going back to work. But this is a hugely important video, so couldn't wait, and I hope that you watch to the end. So this whole force the vote issue, if you're not aware of it yet, it's caused a pretty big rift among the progressives and those divided in the what I'll call the Jimmy camp. Jimmy Dore, who suggested the idea a few weeks ago, and it really caught fire. And I'll call it the TYT or Jank camp, because they've been kind of calling each other out pretty viciously online. And you know, there's a lot of energy, angst, enthusiasm within the progressive movement for or against this, you know, force the vote tactic which was brought up. And it's caused a lot of heated debate online and a lot of name calling, and it's not good. There's a huge rift in the movement right now between the two, wings. And not unlike anyone else, I was pretty deep in that rift too. I was in the Jimmy camp. When I first heard of the idea, it seemed like, a no-brainer, right? The squad's there, they've got leverage. Now is the time to use it. Use that leverage to threaten to withhold your vote for Nancy Pelosi, get some concessions out of her. Most notably, a promise to hold a floor vote on Medicare for all. And everyone knows Medicare for all, hugely, wildly popular. It's got to happen. We need it in this country. We've needed it for a long time. Presidents for decades have talked about it. JFK back in the 60s even was talking about it, before him as well. Anyway, like everyone, it was heated, and I was, knee deep in the heat, in the battle, and I was doing my part, raging online after the speakership vote yesterday, when AOC and Cori Bush played that what we on the Jimmy left, if I may say it, viewed as a stunt, a cowardly stunt where they withholded their vote at first, and then the second roll call they went ahead and in the end just voted for Pelosi. And it seemed like, it seemed like a stab at the movement. And yeah, instantly people started calling the squad sellouts, hashtag fraud squad, and I was part of that as well. And then, I got to posting, and I was hearing from different people about how, Jimmy Dore was wrong. And I was taking my information from that interview with Ryan Grimm, who I really do respect and trust, and I will continue to. But I kept hearing that that was wrong and incorrect, so I started calling for anyone, Jank or Jimmy, to reevaluate, look at the situation, and do a video and let everyone know what the truth was. And today I came across a TYT video, and Jank did just that. And it was a really good video. And I'm going to have the link down in the description box, but I highly recommend everyone check that out. If you are on, the Jimmy side of the house. And this video does an excellent job of breaking it down. And in a nutshell, I know this is long-winded, but I see that from what I know now, I was wrong and I've started making my rounds, so to speak, Twitter and all the other social media platforms, and I've been openly admitting I'm wrong, apologizing, and my hope is that Jimmy and Jank, the two of them together, they have got to publicly address each other and basically forgive each other, because they both have huge followings, and it's not enough that, like me in an individual case, realizes, well, maybe I was wrong, and have a second take on it. But Jimmy and Jank, they really have to publicly have an interview together and basically make up, because they're de facto leaders, whether they want to be or not. They're de facto leaders of the progressive movement, and with all the following they have, I'm looking online and I'm seeing that my greatest fear is that we're going to continue to split, and we're going to further coalesce along those two camps. And there is nothing worse for this movement than for us to split like this. And the only entity, the only organization that is benefiting from this is the establishment, the Republicans and the corporate Democrats. I can see Bill Clinton, applauding in the background. He must be loving this. So anyway, the point of all this is that I want to show in my own little way that it is possible, it's admirable, and in the end it's effective and the right thing to do. If you feel like you might have been mistaken about this, start making amends and let people that you might have bashed on Twitter and other platforms know, hey, after a little more research, I see that maybe my take was wrong. Now, if it comes out that Jimmy makes a video and debunks what Jank was saying, I'll flip again. I just want to get to the truth. There was a lot of confusion about the efficacy of this force the vote, the right timing or not, would it even work or not? If Pelosi didn't get the votes, would it automatically go to McCarthy? A lot of confusion. And it all seems to stem from a little procedural, detail that it's very simple once you get it. When I'm done blabbing, I'm just going to go ahead and go to some of the information online and speak as I scroll. But I just want to get this intro out there. We cannot stay divided as a movement. It's too important. We can't let this progressive momentum die because of a quarrel, especially due to this tiny little misunderstanding, which is what I feel it must have been at this point. So without further ado, I'm going to sign off and then kind of show some of my tweets online just to further bring it home and take personal responsibility, and hopefully, that, I'm just a nobody in the very dark corner of the internet. I just started my little channel. I've got like 100 some views, 7 followers, something like that. So I'm a nobody at this point, and my goal is not to do this to get famous, for my video to go viral. The movement is what's important. It's way bigger than any of us, and this rift that has occurred it's devastating, and we have got to bring it back together. We are all on the same team. I said this in my very first video, if you want to go check it out. But it is us versus them. Now, yeah, let me just leave it there and I'll get to the websites here. Okay guys, so first of all, Jank's video that I'm referring to, it's here's the URL, but it's the second one down. Pelosi wins speakership, why #force the vote failed. If I scroll down there, it starts animated and Jank looks like like a buffoon or barbarian. I don't mean that in a condescending way, but it doesn't look good the way the timing on the animation is. So check out that video under that title. 99K views at the moment. Really, really, really great video, and I respect Cenk for doing it, and I've called on Jimmy to do similar as well. But anyway, that's the video. And next I'm going to go over to my email where I have a draft message that just basically, this is me opening myself up to scrutiny as a way to hopefully set an example of what, what we can do to kind of man up if we made a mistake, if we feel we made a mistake, and also to show that, it's possible and even very empowering to, if not to say rare, but to apologize and admit that you might have been wrong. It's hugely powerful and people really respect it, and I'm just hoping this will catch on, It might go down as something that I did I can be very proud of. So anyways, there's Cenk's rebuttal video there. And I first wrote him, I'm just going to read this off. Thank you, Cenk, for doing this segment. I was operating under the info from the Ryan Grimm interview with Jimmy Dore. Ryan Grimm is someone I respect and trust. Perhaps something was lost in translation. I very much hope you or Jimmy takes the lead and mends the rift between the two of you. We progressives cannot be split. The only entity that wins there is the establishment. I hope I speak for all those on the Jimmy side of this hashtag Force the Vote initiative. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm posting these things on the YouTube comments under the video as I'm watching it. So the second one I wrote was this. I'm gonna just reiterate what I said below. Cenk, at 20 minutes into the interview, you are still badgering, even if rightfully so, Jimmy for his actions, which, as you have already admitted, are coming from a place of good intention. You and he, like it or not, are leaders with substantial followings. You first need to mend the rift between you and Jimmy, like ASAP. We will remain split as a progressive movement so long as you two, de facto leaders, are not united. I can't stress that enough. I may not know a lot about the specifics and technicalities of procedural tactics in our branches of government, but I hear you loud and clear in this video and see that you two are being honest and are knowledgeable. Do a video right now with the tone necessary to mend the rift. I call on Jimmy to do likewise. This movement is too critical for us to let personalities and, yes, mistakes divide us. One thing politicians never ever do that we all know is apologize and admit fault. Ain't that the truth? Let's set the example here and now. And again, that's kind of the big point of this video. Let me go down to my third and final that I posted on this YouTube video. Last one. I'm at the end of the video and I'm looking at the running chat. Way too many negative comments about Jimmy. Cenk, please, for the love of God, extend your plea for us, meaning the people backing one or the other strategy, to come together to Jimmy Dore. You fix the rift between the two of you, and you by extension fix the rift between all of us. The other option is to reach out individually to every single proponent on the other side, one by one. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. So, my point, even if my grammar wasn't that good, if these two guys make up publicly, that's going to go a very long way, very far with healing our movement as a whole, and that's the quickest way. It's got to happen, you guys. Cenk, Jimmy, please listen. Alright, moving on to my Twitter. Let me see if this is in the order I want it to be in. I think it is. Here are a couple of posts. Let me skip that. Nope. Skipping. Okay, here's an example. Let me go back. Of Cenk replying to Jimmy. And both, are kind of at each other's throats. And this is not good. This is what we need to fix. So Jimmy first wrote, I know this isn't how it works at all. because I've had it explained to me a million times now by #ForceTheVote advocates, but for some reason I'm not embarrassed to keep pushing this obvious lie that @GOP could take speakership, please donate its funds. So he's kind of making fun of, TYT's fundraising there. And there's the #Fraud Squad, which, if I may be honest here, side note, I thought I was the one who started that, but who knows. Now I'm not proud of it though, but at the moment I was. So Jank replies, Jimmy, you just don't know politics, so please stop embarrassing yourself. It's a majority of the people voting, not majority of the House. This is the key point here, that detail I was talking about that had everyone confused. So if they had voted present, like you were saying, McCarthy would have won. If they voted for someone else, it likely would have pushed. Okay, now these two tweets are tweets of mine that had 1 like each. Like I said, I'm an unknown player on the scene now. I just started my Twitter account too. But I had posted a tweet tagging Rashida Tlaib, one of the squad. I said, maybe stop focusing on Trump and his wistful fantasies, which will never bear fruit, and instead think about the power you have and have chosen to squander as you bow and kneel to corporate democratic establishment. Your new tag. And there's the fraud squad. So, this is me opening myself up to embarrassment, but in the hopes of helping to mend the rift now between progressives and the movement. So I was, pretty ruthless here, and I felt conviction, but now I'm slightly embarrassed by this, and I take this back now. And one more I did. Unbelievable. Look at this ad at AOC. This is in response to an ad I saw of AOC's. AOC has already started pivoting to the empty, flowery rhetoric as a substitute for real action. Hey AOC, don't look now, but you are assimilating beautifully. #ForceTheVote. So, same thing now. If you watch Jank's video, you'll see that there's perhaps a larger strategy going on behind the scenes that may actually be effective in the long run. So, a new expression going around the internet nowadays is blah blah blah, quote, hasn't aged well. Well, this is a good example of that. So, I kind of stand by it after you watch this ad of hers. It has the stench of establishment all over it, and she says nothing at all. But that's kind of besides the point of this video. So those are some examples of my negative tweets that went out. So now I'm going to go up. Yeah, I'm going to start here. This is me after having my little epiphany and thinking I should do my best to kind of help heal the wounds, mend the wounds. So, let's see, I wrote, the whole Force the Vote had so much energy, emotion around it, and forced a rift between progressives. I was in the Jimmy Dore camp. This video from Cenk Uygur is very good and explains a lot. Progressives, let's mend our rift immediately. Forgive and move on, united. Please, we gotta. Okay. Another. I see that it was I who was mistaken, and I am now making my rounds, apologizing via tweets and on other platforms, trying to set the example of what future politics can be. Thanks, brother. And that's in response to a guy that I was actually, quarreling with earlier. Hope he doesn't mind that I'm showing his name here. But Legendary Mountain writes, mighty big of you on Twitter to do that. Very respectable. I think we should take a second and remember many of us want the same things and just disagree with tactics. And small errors like these can be blown out of proportion far too easily. My 2 cents, don't give up on the squad. So this is a little microcosm of what can come about when people have the humility to realize they might have been wrong, and, proactively try to mend the rift. And I just responded to him, well said, agreed, my friend, and I will upload a video to my channel tonight. If possible, I should have written, publicly admitting my fault and change of heart. Hell, maybe even have the added benefit of promoting the channel link. And yes, I'm still human, guys. Sue me. Here's my channel. If you're watching this, you know that already. But anyway, like I said, way more important than any of that is that we mend this rift, because we've got to come together united, as a united front, to continue to, apply pressure on the establishment. I think their days are numbered, guys. I really do. It's a house of cards. It's going to fall. Maybe not quite as quickly and dramatically as we want, but we are making progress. We are in the right direction. And we gotta be smart about this, but more than anything, we gotta come together and stay together as one. Now, real quick, I'm gonna switch over to camera and say my final thoughts. Alright, so that's mostly what I wanted to get off my chest and put out there, again, hopefully to serve as an example, and also as a plea to these two de facto leaders, Jimmy and Cenk, with their huge followings. They need to come together openly, publicly, and that's the quickest way to bring us all back together here. So, one final thought. There remains the big difference in opinion about how best to, in a nutshell, transform the country, how best to bring about a true progressive movement. Now, there is the thought from Cenk and Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk, the route they have taken, which is through Justice Democrats to insert progressive congresspeople into the government to basically do a hostile takeover, as Kyle says, of the establishment Democratic Party. That's one route to go. So you take it over from within with outsider candidates. The fear there that I continue to share is that the forces of assimilation are just too great. And that's not a phenomenon limited to the Congress. It's a human nature thing, right? So if you enter a workforce and you're working with these people, they're your colleagues, day in and day out. You have to see them, you have to meet with them, you have to do deals with them. That's your work environment. Nobody wants a hostile work environment, right? I'd be the first to, run for the hills. In fact, if and when I have found myself in that kind of environment, it's the worst. I hate it. I've quit jobs for that very reason in the past. I hate tension. I hate it with a burning passion. If you haven't yet figured out about me, I'm not like Jimmy Dore, although part of me really wishes I could just, Cenk too for that matter. They have alter egos, I think, but I'm pretty soft-spoken. So I fear that the pressures of assimilation are too great. I know this video is getting long, but so much to say. Kyle Kalinske on Secular Talk, I think it was, he discovered a video of Nancy Pelosi back in '94 doing, guess what? Advocating for a floor vote on universal health care. I don't think it was called Medicare for All back then. That's Nancy Pelosi doing that. So at one point, I think it's safe to say she went in, like many, with good intentions. Okay? Now, 30 years later, or whatever it's been, look what she has become. She is an absolute corporate shill. She cares only about, placating the donor class, because that's her role. That's where her power is, getting all the money. She's really good at that. So that's one anecdotal piece of evidence to how, the system can swallow you up, even if you have righteous, great intentions and all that. So the other route to take, the route that I'm leaning towards for sure now, is that we need to start an entirely new political party to compete against the two establishment parties. And there is this, what's called the People's Party out there now. I did a pitch for them in my last video number 5, go check it out. But peoplesparty.org, and yes, there are some internal problems. I mean, it's really just getting started. It needs help, but I think it's a better way to go about it, because just the sheer level of excitement and momentum that can happen with the formation of a new political party, that's huge. When's the last time that's happened successfully? And for the reasons I stated about assimilating, I don't think it's probable that that's going to be a successful way to reform the existing Democratic Party. Maybe, maybe not. But anyway, if we jump on board with a new political party whose mission it is from the beginning is very clear. It's progressive in nature, true lefties. Then progressive candidates like the Justice Democrats will instantly have a home, and there'll be no need to fight against the corporate establishment. So really, the hard groundwork is to get the party off the ground. And like I said, it started. They're already established in Maine. 49 states left to go. A lot of work to be done. But I don't think I'm going to be able to convince a lot of people who are in the camp that let's support the Justice Democrats and just go that route. So that remains, in effect, another rift. But I don't know. I've spoken for a lot, and yeah, People's Party, if you're interested, at least check them out. I think at first we can do both. The Justice Democrats can work to reform the Democratic Party, but in the meantime, we form a whole new political party, and can't they just shift party membership once this party is off the ground and running? So there's hope for the future, you guys, if you're on the progressive left. This truly is a crazy time, and I think the country is ripe for change. Really. So let's make this happen. Thanks for listening. I'm done. Have a good night. See you next time.